The entire country is sleeping on one position group for the 2024 edition of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and it's about time they wake up. This is Way Offsides. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, roll tide, whatever the case may be. Welcome to a Way Offsides pop up. We want to talk to you about something special today. And that something special is Alabama as a whole. We're used to hate in Tuscaloosa. We're used to getting hated on by the mainstream media. We're used to people going, they're overrated, blah, 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 this and that. We all know the one idiot, the Oklahoma fan that said Alabama's overrated at number 5 in the preseason poll, blah, 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 blah. But, it's been exacerbated this season by the exit of Nick Saban, as well as some portal exits. But still, there's so much to look forward to with this 2024 squad. And we're starting to see bits and pieces of that as the team comes into focus. Guys like Charlie Potter, Nick Kelly, that have media access to the practices that are going right now. Stephen M. Smith, they're starting to put these pieces out there on social media, and everything's starting to come into focus. We're starting to see who the guys are, who the dogs are. We're hearing the coaches talk about some of these people and who they are and what they're going to do and what the expectation is. We all know about Jalen Milroe. We just posted a video yesterday about Jalen Milroe and the high expectations that everybody, including us, have for Jalen Milroe. We do think that this wide receiving group is vastly underestimated. Everybody knows about the offensive line. Everybody knows about the running backs. But it seems like the past week, a lot of the attention for this 2024 squad has moved towards the pass rush and what's going on with that wolf position. And, guys like Quay Russaw, people like that. A lot of attention there. Coach Womack's been talking about it a lot in post-practice pressers. But there's a position group that is probably the biggest question mark going into this season that we're starting to feel a lot more confident about and comfortable about. And that is Alabama's secondary. I get it. I know what you're thinking. Hey, Cotton, this is a very young secondary. We've told you before, it's kind of a modge podge of people from different players, different philosophies, different teams, blah, blah, blah. But I just want to start just by naming off some names here, okay? The first one obviously being the return of veteran Malachi Moore. Malachi Moore will be that field general position at the safety position. Moore has played at Alabama. He understands the brand. He understands the expectation. He'll lead that secondary for the Tide. You tack on 2 phenomenal portal additions in Damani Jackson from USC, and then of course Keon Sabb from Michigan. But there's a third portal edition that a lot of people think about, and Coach Womack spoke to him today, DeShawn Jones from Wake Forest. Coach Womack said that they're very, very happy with what DeShawn is doing at Alabama. So right there, you've got 4 guys with a lot of experience. Yes, they come from different philosophies, different teams. Sabb is from Michigan, Jackson from USC, Jones from Wake Forest. But under that tutelage of a guy like Malachi Moore, who also came out and was talking about how he's finally starting to get comfortable in this new 4-2-5 system, as opposed to what Nick Saban did. We can definitely expect that secondary to be a little less complex than what Nick Saban would put on the field. So it may be easier to grasp it. But then you look at Alabama added a trio of 5-star freshman defensive backs who all are vying for serious playing time. Xavier Brown, Zay Mincy, and then, of course, the guy everybody's talking about, everybody's excited to see, Bach, Jalen Mbakwe. But there's other guys in this class that people are forgetting about, one guy being Red Morgan. We've heard so much about Red Morgan coming out of summer and fall camp, and I'm very excited to see Red Morgan on the field. So when it comes to Alabama secondary, I don't think that the question mark is as big as the rest of the country, the rest of the media, all these people would have you think. And I'm going to tell you why. I do think that it's going to take maybe a week or two, maybe even 3 weeks of live action, pad to pad, helmet to helmet, gameplay, right? For these guys to kind of start to mesh as a unit. Those freshmen are definitely going to have to kind of be, baptized by fire. And then for guys like Damani Jackson, DeShawn Jones, Keon Sabb to mesh well with Malachi and understand what the other guys are doing, what their responsibilities are, how to shift and do all these different things. It's going to just take some live game situations to learn those things and get comfortable there. Alabama's schedule sets up beautifully for them to do that, and that they open against Western Kentucky. They get Wisconsin on the road. That is a tough environment and a tough game, but extremely winnable for the Tide, right? And this is all leading up into that Georgia game where that secondary unit should know their responsibilities. They should know what they're supposed to be doing. They should know the expectation. They should be familiar enough with the play calls, which are going to be going through helmets this year, by the way. And so I think by the end of this season, a lot of people will be singing a different tune when it comes to Alabama's secondary. But the question becomes, why is everybody so down on Alabama's secondary? Yes, a part of that is because of the exit of Nick Saban. We all know that was his favorite position group to coach, cornerback, safeties. And then, there were a lot of portal exits after Nick Saban transferred out too. A lot, I think I can't tell you how many, but there were a lot of cornerbacks and safeties kind of bounced. And, Caleb Downs obviously being the most influential and crucial piece. But Alabama's secondary is still full of 4 and 5 star talent. Even the transfers coming in are 4 and 5 stars. Damani Jackson was a 5-star. He had it down between Bama and USC, picked USC, realized he made a mistake, and now he's rolling with the Tide. They put him in crimson. But I think that some of it is bias. A lot of people were praying for Alabama's downfall. A lot of people for years have been talking about what's going to happen to Alabama when Nick Saban retires. They've been waiting on it. That goofball that everybody's sharing on Twitter from Oklahoma that is talking about how Alabama's overrated at number 5 in the preseason poll. He's one of those idiots, right? You want to talk about a naysayer? That's one right there, right? Line it up. But a lot of people are preying on Alabama's downfall, and they want to find a position group that is weak for Alabama. Well, here's the thing. Alabama's roster, despite that mass exodus of talent, is still one of the best, if not the best in the country in terms of raw talent, raw ability, recruiting rankings or ratings, and all these things. It's still one of the best in the country. Right? Even with losing Nick Saban, even with the transfer portal, even with all these things, it's still one of the best in the country. It comes down to what the coaches can do on the field and how well these guys, what does that locker room look like? All indications coming out of camp and coming out of practice are that there is a rejuvenated sense of purpose with this team, right? There's accountability. They're all learning a new system together. So that there is going to breed cooperation, because Malachi Moore has to depend on Xavier Brown just as much as Xavier Brown has to depend on Malachi Moore, because they're all learning a new system together, right? It builds cohesion. It galvanizes them all in this 4-2-5 defense by Coach Womack. So you take all those factors and then you give them a couple of weeks to kind of get their feet underneath of them. I really do think that Alabama secondary is going to be one of the better units in the country when it's all said and done. Now, they're going to give up 21, 24 points a game. That's just college football nowadays. We talked to Nick Kelly about this a couple of weeks ago. That's just the nature of the sport. Defenses are going to give up points. The offenses have evolved way too much, and the game is already set up to where the defense is playing behind the sticks, so to speak. So, the first time somebody drives down the field 90 yards and scores, don't panic. And I'm talking to myself here because I will definitely panic. Ask Chris, ask Bill, ask Jeff. I will panic. The first time you see somebody get burned, you see Malachi Moore in the wrong spot. Now, I will say the biggest area of concern is Coach Womack came out today and said that he felt like the tackling in practice was just okay. Obviously, in the SEC, you have to be able to tackle. You have to be able to open field tackle. And so we hope to see them improve on that. But Alabama secondary, I think, is a unit that is going to surprise a lot of folks this year, and it's going to shut a lot of people up. And I'm, for one, and I can't wait to see it happen. I'm sure you agree with me. If you're watching this video, you're likely a Bama fan, or you hate everything I'm saying right now. Either way, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. But look, I'm telling you, this roster, this 2024 team is one of the most talented we've seen in Tuscaloosa in terms of player ability and ratings. Even with all the exfil, even with all those things, the only reason Alabama is sitting at 5 in the preseason polls is because they don't have Nick Saban. And there's some areas where they don't have a lot of depth. They're going to field probably the best running back room in the country. And you can go argue with a brick wall, but it's true. And we're going to do a video about that, about Jam Miller, Richard Young, and Justice Haynes tomorrow. Obviously, you know, everybody wants to talk about Jalen Milroe. Jay Milley's going to do his thing this year. And a lot of people are going to eat some crow over it. A lot of you are going to come back in December and have to bow down at that man's feet, kiss his toes, and apologize. A lot of you are going to have to. We're keeping receipts. But yes, so as always, don't buy into the hype from these media jocks that just say whatever they can to get you to click and listen and comment and engage and argue. Like we tell you all the time, engage with us instead. You can do that here on YouTube by liking, subscribing, sharing, doing all the things. Hanging out with us at our lives. We have a live coming up at 8 p.m. Central Time on Thursday night. You're going to want to be a part of that. We have a lot of cool topics. We'll be getting that post ready to go. So you'll be able to see all the talking points, everything we're going to cover. You can also do that by becoming a Way Offsides insider or member, as some would like to call it. This is what you'll get with that. This is a monthly subscription. The biggest perk, if you go with the upperclassmen version, is that you will get access to live games with us, watching football games live with us online, as well as access to tailgates and early access to merchandise. We do have a merch store. It's got all sorts of kind of fun stuff. Here you go. You can see it right here. It's no longer coming soon. We have hundreds of items with different designs available for purchase. I will link our store down in the description of this video. So if that's something you're interested in, please click it. But yeah, that's going to be it. Stay positive, Bama fans. We're 19 days out. It's coming. It's coming quick. We love you. We appreciate all you do. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Beat all of them. Every one of them. Roll Tide.